Hi, welcome to Monday Night Chat episode 88. This week we're going to continue the economic lecture series where we're going to focus on the history of economics, or small portion of it, right? And then we're doing Q&A in 120 seconds and we say farewell to our intern Arthuro.
Monday Night Chat with Wong Chen.
Brought to you by the Member of Parliament for Subang.
Hi, this is the Monday Night Chat version, which is a summarized version of the part 2 of the economic lecture series. We're going to talk about history of economics. Why do we need to look at history of economics? Very simple. Most of these economic theories out there and school of economics out there are based on some historical fact, like international trade. When did it really start? So therefore I made it a point to at least explain to you all how this economic perspective and theories and approaches develop from the eye of a historical time chart. Okay, let's start. We're going to look at the years starting from 1500 to 1918. Summarized version, okay? We only have a few minutes to this. Now, pre-1500, in the mid-14th century, Genghis Khan, of course, crossed over and all the way to Europe. They brought along the Black Death. Yeah, there is a plague. COVID-19 is the modern version, I suppose. What it actually did was it broke all the feudal system of the church and the kings. So this brought in an age of science. Ironically, this invasion brought a lot of death. People have to challenge the institutions that were predominant then, and people start look at math, art, technology, science, geography, all this thing. At the same time, you had the Silk Road, which then was the first beginning of international trade. That's why we look at 1500. Yeah, from 1500 to 1800, more wars, plagues, and all this brought about mechanization. As a lot of people died, they moved into replacing human labor with technology, right? Most important thing you have to understand is the steam engine was invented in 1712 and perfected by James Watt in 1776. So there was that period where you also had sailing ships, slave trade, colonization. So what are these historical stories really about? It is actually the beginnings of technology, production of goods, and workers' migration. Okay. Now we go on to the actual knowledge of economics or the theories of economics. You got Adam Smith, who lived from 1723 and died in 1790. His most important book, of course, is the book on the wealth of nations. Okay. There was also Jacques Rousseau, who was the Age of Enlightenment leader. Talk about rational political and social changes. And then at the early start of the 1800s, we have the beginnings of modern banking. As I said earlier, banking is an essential part of the economy. So you had the Rothschilds, who still dominate in today's finance world. Capital, creation of financial instruments, bonds, foreign exchange mechanisms, all this, the first international bank, the concept of insurance were all created during that period of 1800s. Okay, then at the political front, we had also development on human rights. So you had colonization, you had slave trade. The slavery was actually abolished in Britain in 1833 and 1865 in the US. That actually ironically pushed on, you remove slaves, they all went to colonize people instead and make us indentured laborers, I suppose, right? And in the Western world, of course, at the same period, you had this great social change, rational thinking. You have then the great economic thinkers of his days. You had Karl Marx coming up, writing about anti-capitalism. Then from the 1900 to 1940, now we get shorter and shorter time frame. We had the Edwardian period, the height of the British Empire, successful, rich, powerful, intellectual. You had the Bloomsbury Group. Why I mention this is because John Maynard Keynes, one of the key eminent economic thinkers in modern economics, was also part of the Bloomsbury Group. Then across in America, you had the first Model T Ford, the concept of total mass production assembly line. And then from there, you had transatlantic trade, international migration as more Europeans moved to the new lands of America. America not buying tea from US, UK, you had international commerce expanding. All this all happened during that period. Now, then what happened? 1914 to 1918, you had World War I. And that basically decimated the British aristocrats, killed out most of the kings and emperor system. The feudal system collapsed completely and saw the rise of America. And America brought along American capitalism, which is why it is so important to understand the modern world was shaped by this, 500 years of, summarized in 5 minutes for you, of history. And that's where we're going to pick up next week, the modern history, and then you'll see the full picture of why we have quantitative easing, what is Keynesian economics, and so on and so forth. That's it for this Monday Night Chat Economic Lecture Series, Episode 2. Hi, for Q&A in 120 seconds this week, we're shooting in the hot sun, but we have 5 hot questions for you. Number 1, Arthuro, hit the button. Number 1, flash flood in KL. This is a case of way too much water. What can we do? Well, we have to really dredge the drains properly. We have to revive the water projects in KL, and we'll see whether it's done properly through a tender. All that needs to be done as soon as possible. Number 2, water issue again, but this time too little water. Water cuts in Selangor. What can we do? These policies are all out there. We have to deal with non-revenue water. We've got to make sure that the leakage is stopped. We need to have a bigger reserve margin for water, which is currently about 2 to 3% only. It has to go up to 5 to 10. And then we need also, the most important thing is we need the infrastructure to be rebuilt, which means the pipes got to be relayed, and also we have to make sure that the water companies are actually paid a fair wage so that they can continue to invest. Number 3, youth bankruptcy. 945 cases since January to July. Why is this happening? Some people are saying that this is due to the COVID-19. Some of them have lost jobs, but also I suspect a lot of internet shopping during that time. Okay, oil prices are moving down again. This is question number 4. What's the impact? Well, oil prices are fluctuating again because I think the world is seeing that the real economy is not doing well, not doing as well as the stock market. So we expect consumption. Travel is a big factor. Travel is still restricted, international travel. So this is all going to press down the price of oil, and that's bad news for Malaysia because we come to the last question related to oil. Petronas. Petronas income dropped in the second quarter by 21 billion. That's a huge hit. What does this mean for Malaysia? Now we know Petronas contributes roughly 50 billion a year to the Malaysian government's budget. If we lost 21 billion alone in the second quarter, when we're supposed to be making 14 billion, then obviously we have a big problem. I think overall we'll see an impact about 50 billion less from Petronas for the year 2021. That's it for Q&A this week.
Hello everyone, my name is Arthuro Gonzalez and I am sending you this message as I just finished my internship with YB Wong Chen and his office for the constituency of Subang. Basically my message was of gratefulness because this experience has been a very significant one who led me to a lot of new knowledge of Malaysia, of the system, the legal system, the functioning of the parliament and the legislative process. I find it very interesting for anyone in specializing in any field to participate into this interning opportunity, and I highly recommend it. Thanking you all for the great colleagues you have been and for teaching me so many important lessons and transmitting so much knowledge to me. I thank you once again, and I wish to see you in a very close future.